Okay, I think everyone should be joining right now. So welcome to our CodeHS webinar, Scaling Success, Building Sustainable K-12 Computer Science Program. I see a lot of people now coming into the room. So we'll just give everyone 1 minute to join. Thank you again for attending and taking some of your very valuable time with us. We hope you can leave us some interesting ideas. We know everyone as administrators is very busy. So I'm the moderator. So I'm Jeremy. I'm the CEO of CodeHS and joined by Rhonda and Audra and Karen, who is joining as we speak. Hopefully we're getting that Zoom issue figured out, but we're going to still get started and we'll do introductions as well. And they'll get to tell you more about everything that they do. What we'll cover, we'll have a wide-ranging discussion, but we'll talk about scaling district-wide initiatives. We'll talk about strengthening teacher engagement. We'll talk about lessons learned. And we have a lot of you in the webinar. And so we'll definitely make sure we can have some audience Q&A. And if you look at your Zoom, there's a Q&A section. So if you answer questions or ask questions in there, that'll go into the chat and we'll try and answer some of those. We have a bunch of questions we'll start with, but near the end, we'll try and make sure we can answer audience questions. So I will unshare my screen and we'll dive right in. So I think the place to start is just with introductions. We have a lot of district administrators joining us, but would love to hear who we have on the call. So just tell us about, your background, your role, your district. Rhonda, you want to start us off?
Sure, I can do that. Hi, everybody. I'm Rhonda Howard, and I'm in Dallas. I work for Dallas Independent School District, and I currently support teachers that are teaching computer science and information technology. I've been in this department 8 years and a huge proponent of CodeHS, love CodeHS. And that's who I am.
Great. Audra, you want to give us a little introduction?
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. Hi, everyone. My name is Audra Mazzante. I'm the Director of Career Education at Insight PA Cyber Charter. So we are a virtual school in Pennsylvania, full K through 12. In my role, I help support all K through 12 career education, really hone in on the high school level for career and technical education, which also includes our IT pathway. And similar to Rhonda, CodeHS has been a huge component in building that pathway and providing curriculum and resources for our teachers and our students. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we have a lot of good things to dive into. So I think, a really good place to start is understanding what does your computer science program look like today? What does it look like today? And what did it look like when you started? Would love to hear a little bit about how that evolved. Audra, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So I'll start with our school is actually only 7 years old, so we are a newer school, but from the start of the school, we launched the pathway. So the business pathway and the computer science pathway were initial parts of our high school program. Start out, as all things, good things take time. So we did start small, very exploratory kind of courses. We have now grown into year 7 now we have 8 different courses that we offer. So we explore everything from 2 different zip codes that we try to stay within. So it's programming and data science, as well as networking and security. Within those 8 courses, CodeHS provides 6 of the pieces of curriculum that we use and our resources as well. And we have begun to launch into offering industry certifications that align very nicely to those programs too. So it's been a wonderful journey with it.
Awesome. And welcome, Karen. And Rhonda, do you want to tell us, what does your computer science program look like now at Dallas? What did it look like when you started working on it? How has it evolved?
Wow, good question.
I know we
So,
probably don't have enough time to get that. That could be its own,
yeah.
that could be its own webinar, just that one question.
Absolutely. So initially, when I stepped into this position, we were offering maybe just 3 courses, and it was really a struggle. securing a good solid curriculum that gave students a really good foundation. This is, I believe, our 4th year utilizing CodeHS, and there is not anything in CodeHS that we don't offer. My teachers do everything from web development to AP computer science to Python to mobile app development. I mean, we cover it. We cover the gamut of the CodeHS curriculum, and CodeHS has just been a godsend for us because it's got a strong foundation. I mean, I just could go on and on and on about the value of CodeHS and how it has helped us elevate our computer science program.
Great to hear. Karen, would love to start just with quick intros. We have a lot of district administrators joining from all over. Just tell us, your role, your district, any background, and then would love to hear too, like what's your computer science program look like today?
Very good. Well, thank you, Jeremy, and thank you, CodeHS, for inviting me to this panel. I'm Karen Gilbert. I serve as the district's Career and Technical Education Director in Beaufort, South Carolina. We are here in the Low Country. We're fortunate that our state requires a graduation credit in a computer science related course. So as far as our demographics, and we're actually, even though Hilton Head is one of our schools, we actually have some high pockets of poverty, and sometimes digital access is important to different parts of our county. So CodeHS has been exceptional in helping us to get out access for students that maybe would not have full-blown coding and programming opportunities. We use primarily grades 9 through 12. We are looking at eventually implementing in our middle grades. But we start with our 9th and 10th graders with fundamentals of computing and our fundamentals of design webpage. And we have found that we have approximately 25 teachers that are currently using it. And this is going on our 5th year with CodeHS. And then lastly, I will say we also use it as a supplement for our Project Lead the Way computer science courses. Again, I know they have their own curriculum, but our teachers have found it CodeHS modules to be very helpful, again, just to have those good hands-on simulations that our students can do within a safe environment.
Great, great. And I know as we were getting ready for this webinar, one of the things we talked about was kind of how does the state infrastructure or the state policies impact the development of your CS programs. So would love to hear how you've thought about that in South Carolina, and then would love to hear from everyone, how have the state policies kind of impacted or not impacted your thinking and planning? So maybe Karen, if you want to continue, that'd be great.
Sure. And I know there's other states that their departments at the state level mandate. When this came about around, I think, 16, 17, you had a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth because typically we have business computer certified teachers. So it does take a while, but I do like the fact that through legislation to be a South Carolina graduate, they think they take it seriously to have some exposure to computer science concepts. They even so much as developed a framework that's really K-12. So again, we hope as we matriculate through to continue to push it further and further down to the elementary grades as well. But so the South Carolina, they say you have to have one unit of credit at the high school level in order to graduate with your full credit. So I think just having that support and push at the state level has helped. And then we can talk later as we get into some good strategies and tips as to how we implemented that.
Got it. Rhonda or Audra, any thoughts there on just how what's going on at the state policy level just has or hasn't impacted your computer science efforts?
Yeah, I can hop in. So in Pennsylvania, we don't have it as a graduation requirement, although I would fully support that because I think it is a very important content to learn. One thing our state has done, similar to Texas, Karen, is that the business teachers for sure, and myself actually being a previous business teacher, it was something that it was kind of getting, I don't want to say pushed on, but leaned on business teachers to really learn coding and to be the instructors for it. So I know it kind of fell under that certification. So while it's not a graduation requirement, what they did do is they did create a set of standards in 2018. So PA has our own computer science standards. In addition to that, the state kind of created a alternate path for teachers to get certified to help increase instructors in this area. And I can't remember all the requirements, but basically certain teaching certifications we allowed, all they had to do was basically pass the state exam in order to start teaching. So we have really grown. In fact, we have 3 instructors at our school right now. All 3 came in with their computer science certification because it's becoming more and more popular and needed as well. So definitely has really helped shape it.
What about you, Rhonda? How have you?
So, okay, good question. So in the state of Texas, students must, their senior year, they must obtain an industry-based certification. And it keeps evolving. So this year seniors must take and pass an industry-based certification, and it must be aligned with 2 courses, what we call a program of study. So for example, in computer science, we have everything from web development to programming and software development to cybersecurity. So the seniors that are sitting for their exams this year, and out of the CodeHS, cybersecurity level 1 certification, Python level 1 certification, and the web design, they're all on what we call our A through F list. And what that is, it's a score that's assigned to a campus based on, well, several factors, but one of the factors is students taking and passing an IBC. So this year's seniors in Dallas ISD, across these 3 themes, I have 1,100 students. Like I think it's 1,137 that will be sitting for one of these 3 exams. And so there's a lot that goes into it. We have to audit the students to make sure that they have their courses aligned with that IBC, so that that campus gets that point. So that's just a little bit about it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what we've seen is like every state is so unique, but the kind of policy framework kind of sets so much of what the district level CS might be.
Mhm.
So I think, in terms of what will be helpful for everyone listening, it's not easy to build and grow a computer science program, and there's bumps and hurdles along the way. What were some of the challenges as you've scaled up your computer science program, or what do you think challenges others on the webinar might be facing in similar situations? They have a computer science program, or it's starting, or it's growing, or so I'd love to hear, what were some challenges as you scaled it up? It could be on any dimension, and how did you think about addressing them in the district, just as you have grown your program over time? I don't know if anyone, Audra, do you
Want me to
want to
start?
jump in?
Sure. Yeah, I can start. So the first challenge, is definitely going to be the recruiting, your staff, the teachers, and really having someone with coding background is going to definitely help guide
Right.
it. The other big component and stakeholder wise, I feel to bring in is really industry in the CT world. We revolve everything around our occupational advisory committees. That has been a huge guide for us in building the program and really understanding what is the demands in the workforce and also like job ready skills. And then while designing that, I will add on like the challenge that we had from my experience has been having like a high level course, for instance. We kind of tried to evolve it around like, okay, this is what we feel is going to be job ready for students, but then it became challenging for students. So it was really diving into the prerequisites and were they aligning to what we needed for the students to kind of continue in that cohort in our pathway. So it was really just a matter of really bringing in like student interest, having the right teachers in place and hearing really what industry was asking for as well to really guide in that. And I will say in year 7 now, we're at a place like this. We've completely changed things going into this year, and so we're excited to see how it kind of flows now. It really starts to make sense to have it, the scope and sequence for the courses, and
Right.
as I know Rhonda was talking about industry certifications, we really started to align those as well. And seeing the success with students with earning those certifications as really came from having the curriculum in CodeHS has been aligning well as that we've seen the success for it. So
Right. Right. Yeah, Rhonda or Karen, any thoughts on just some of the I mean, I know it's, lots of different types of surprises each year, but any particular challenges, as you grow in the program that you think other administrators might be facing, and any ways you tried to tackle those, or what's worked for you?
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
it-
go ahead. Go ahead, Karen.
Okay, I think it helps. We're a one-to-one district. We weren't several years ago because obviously anything that's advancing technologies that students are going to be learning, teachers are going to be teaching, being able to have that access to web-based resources. So as we were embarking on this, our district was beginning to go to a one-to-one device. So that helps tremendously so that when they come into 90-minute block classes at the high school or the middle school, they have a device that's been assigned to them so that they can not only work on information there in the school, such as the CodeHS modules, but also be able to utilize that at home. Again, just kind of addressing that digital divide that I'm proud of our county being mindful of. So just as you're embarking on this, just, what are your access? What is that going to look like? What resources are you going to use? And then Audra, you were spot on with bringing in business and industry to say, if we are using these courses intended for computer science related concepts, then how does this impact what they would actually be learning out in the field?
Rhonda, any thoughts on
Sure. Yeah.
challenges that you've encountered in scaling?
Yeah. Our
Education part?
biggest challenge has been connecting with industry partners and providing like work-based learning experiences so that students can connect what they're learning in classroom with what's happening out in industry. We can gather some industry partners to do some work-based learning things, but like for example, if you go to Verizon, you're not going to see a whole lot of programming because it's proprietary and those are industry secrets. And so just connecting with industry professionals and like in cybersecurity so that our students get a more robust experience and a more holistic experience um, within computer science.
Yeah.
That's our biggest challenge.
Um, So yeah, also if you're on and you have questions, feel free to submit them in the Q&A. I see some coming in and we'll try and address some near the end and all that. And some questions I see already we'll definitely cover. So, I'm hearing things about, the staff, the industry partners, all of that. So maybe we can start with the staff part and the teacher recruitment and the teacher professional development, because that's something we see and hear a lot, especially when districts are at earlier stages. So what are the things that you've done, within your district, that has helped with teacher recruitment, teacher professional development? Could just be in your district, could be with CodeHS, but we'd love to hear how you've thought about that topic. So Rhonda, do you have any thoughts on how you've thought about the PD and teacher staffing part?
Sure. So it's, I will admit, especially for a district our size, it is hard to find a computer science teacher.
Totally.
So we are a district of innovation, and what that means is we can hire an industry professional. So, there are a lot of people who retire, like from AT&T or Verizon, or work for any tech company,
Right.
and they want to come teach. And so I'm allowed to hire them. I just need to verify their experience, and they bring twofold. They bring that computer science knowledge, but they also bring that industry experience. And so that's kind of how we have tackled um, the ability to staff our programs, our computer science programs.
Got it. So you're having some people come from industry too. And
Absolutely.
are you guys finding that also? I know that came up in some of the answers. How are you thinking about the staffing, the PD, just the work that you're doing on the teacher training side? Are you guys also doing, from industry? Are you trying to train your own teachers? We kind of see elements of both.
So anybody who's teaching um, a range of courses, district level courses, they are required to take the CodeHS training in the summer. I mean, it's mandatory. There's just no exception because this is the curriculum that we're using. And so the team at CodeHS has been very helpful. And I've never had a teacher walk away unfulfilled from our PD session. And then sometimes we have to do a reset or maybe a refresh, maybe mid-year. And so there are some PD days where we do a refresh or maybe a
Yeah.
mid-year reset. And again, pull in CodeHS, but I also pull in some other partners to do some additional training. So that's how we handle
Right. I feel
our
like
professional. Mhm,
yeah, the PD is such a big part. And I
mhm.
feel like the limiting factor is like, where can you get the time for the
Right.
teachers and for the district? Because the
Yeah,
schedule's already full before the school year starts. Um,
absolutely.
Audra, I know you commented about the teacher recruitment being part of your planning. Like, what have you done there? Has it been more recruiting or training from the existing teachers who taught other subjects or
Yeah.
everything? What did you guys do?
So currently we have 3 instructors that all have their computer science certification. So I'm very fortunate where we're at now, but we didn't start here. The magic number in bringing an industry, as Rhonda was talking about, is you could bring someone in that has 4,000 hours of experience. That's kind of the magical number in CTE. So we did have someone that came in and he had coding experience, and he was such a huge asset for us because of his knowledge in industry. It's amazing to see what they can bring to the table in a program like this. So for the professional development, like he came in with that knowledge, but then our professional development had to come and him learn to teach. So we actually support teachers and pay tuition for them to go back to school, and which they have to have their certification in teaching then. So, but there's like it's a pretty big window that we allow in Pennsylvania. I think it's actually 8 years for someone come from industry. So we help provide that professional development. Any professional development internally. And then, as Rhonda mentioned, CodeHS has a wonderful program for their professional development that we have utilized as well. I don't think I mentioned this in my introduction, but we actually are a full K-12 CodeHS program. We have a elementary and middle school now. And last year we brought on, she was already teaching actually STEM at the elementary level, but we brought her into the curriculum, and it was wonderful because I was able to get her connected and get her the PD she needed to learn CodeHS. So that's kind of been our journey with it.
Awesome. Hey, Karen, how have you thought about PD, staffing, recruiting, training? Has it been all easy, or did you have some of those like other approaches that they mentioned?
Well, I'll echo what Rhonda and Audra has noted about CodeHS's onboarding process. Can't say enough. They're very flexible. Our reps, we typically, when we start our school years, semesters, particularly if we have new students, they're very flexible to work with our teachers either during their planning periods or right before the school starts during a targeted training. And it's very 1, 2, 3. And again, the tech support is fabulous. As far as summer training and ongoing training, we're again fortunate here, particularly in the Low Country, the Citadel and a couple of other universities provide what's called a 30-hour computer science endorsement.
Mhm.
And if they receive that 30 hours of training at an approved college or university, then they are able to add that to their certificate to be eligible to teach some of these computer science courses. We also utilize, can't stress enough, tech colleges. If you're fortunate enough to have technical colleges that have a focus on IT, networking, cyber is the big thing too here in South Carolina. We often utilize that in the summer for our teachers to train. I really like what both states you have noted about bringing in industry. South Carolina is not quite there yet, but there is pending legislation for that very thing. So I'm glad I'll be able to use Texas and Pennsylvania to as some good examples.
Mm.
Awesome. So I'm seeing a lot of questions coming in on the Q&A. So maybe what we can do is try and answer some of those, but maybe not everyone answers everyone, just so we can answer a lot more of the attendees' questions. But this one's probably good for everyone. Looking forward for computer science in your district, what's next? How do you want to keep your computer science program going really great? How do you hope to improve it? What do you see the next, year, 2, 3 look like for your CS program? And again, happy to have anyone jump into this one.
If I may, our goal is to push this down to the middle grades. We haven't because of scheduling. It tends to be exploration in our middle grades here. So we want to, again, make sure that the infrastructure is in place for students to be able to cover all those standards if we move it down to that so they can receive a credit. Another area that we want to explore is those certifications that the two colleagues have noted. Again, that's huge in South Carolina. We're moving into a model called stackable credentials. And so obviously if they can graduate in high school, not only having successfully completed a computer science related course, but add that cert. And then lastly, what do these advancing technologies look like and what training resources are out there like CodeHS? AI, artificial intelligence is a huge topic right now. So we'll definitely be exploring that.
Totally. Rhonda or Audra, you want to jump in on kind of what do you think, what's next, the next, year, couple of years for your program?
Definitely AI. And we've already kind of, my teachers have already started moving in that direction. They're hungry for it and they want to do stuff with it. The problem is we have to get kind of our district infrastructure to allow some things in. So we're currently working with our district IT professionals to allow certain sites in, but the students have embraced it, the teachers have embraced it. They see the connection from AI, machine learning to computer science. So that's our next step, is to explore AI.
I know probably everyone's thinking about that, and that's one of our upcoming topics. Do you have any thoughts on that one, Audra? Separately from AI, but just what do you think the next couple of years looks like for your CS program?
Yeah.
What are you hoping to achieve?
I will say we did actually start a data science and then AI course in the pathway to kind of stay up with the innovation of it. But the one thing that we're piloting this year that is brand new and we're hoping will help, Rhonda had mentioned about that industry experience and the challenge of getting the students to have that work-based learning experience. We decided to pilot it with our own IT department. So we actually just created, we started out kind of think of it as like students supporting like a help desk ticket system. We're creating like a tier 1 and a tier 2. So we're piloting tier 2 this year. So our high level students we have 3 right now that are seniors that have been through now our courses, are actually going to start an internship program right in our IT department. And our IT team is going the full route, interviewing, looking at resume with a student, looking at the industry certification that they've earned. And then we're actually working out how they are going to get this time. And we're hoping to even make it down the road of like a paid co-op position for our seniors to take. So that's our next big step in this, is like, let's get them now that hands-on experience.
Totally. Wow, we have so much to cover. We could talk for a long time, and I'm trying to hit the questions we have, the questions from the audience. So I see this in a few questions from the audience, and definitely a topic we wanted to hit. So would love to hear, like, what grade bands do you oversee? Are you high school? Are you K-12? Or so how do you see computer science fitting in K-12? And feel free to speak on that, whether you're doing K-12 or whether you're just focusing on a specific grade band. I see a lot of people are wondering about, what does it look like in K-8? What does it look like in elementary? And how did you do that? I'm seeing that in maybe 3 or 4 questions from the audience. So if anyone wants to speak to the grade bands you oversee and how does that fit into your K-12 CS strategy, or is it very separate?
I can start.
Go for it.
We, as I mentioned, we do have full K through 12 now that we're utilizing CodeHS. So I actually only oversee the 9th through 12th great in regards to the CT pathway of computer science and IT, although I do support the elementary teacher as well as the middle school teacher. So I will say elementary wise, she covers, it's more of STEM is how we kind of call it, but it's just getting the students exposed and using the program. One
Got
thing
it.
that research and data is showing that once students get to that middle school age, what happens is the stigma of this is only for males starts to kick in. So the
Mhm.
data is really starting to show that in order to have like females, minorities get involved, is you really want to start the exposure early so they can, build that interest and that curiosity and skill set around it. So it's more of an exposure at the elementary right now. Middle school, however, we actually have our instructor, every student 6th through 8th grade is getting exposed to it. And it's an elective course and they rotate quarterly, almost like how they go through like, PE or an art class. We have that course there as well.
Mhm.
Rhonda, did you want to jump in on how you've thought about things fitting in K-12 and, what
Sure.
you oversee?
Sure. So I'm number one, my personal belief is that we need to start students with computer science as early as possible. Third grade, second grade. I'm just, they're an open book at that age. I support now, with that said, I support high school, but I do have some middle school teachers that I do support because they're teaching a middle school CS course for high school credit. Now, we do have another department. They call themselves computer science, and they do work with exposing your more elementary students. So, I mean, we have that here, but I would say, start elementary students with things like Scratch. They just need to get an understanding of what an algorithm is, and Scratch can do that because if
Totally.
you change, this one block and make it do something else, they understand, oh, this is what an algorithm does. So I believe in starting them as early as possible. Scratch is free. And then, they can move on to when they get to middle school. Hopefully by then they're hungry for more computer science activities. And then you can move into products like CodeHS. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah. Karen, how do you think about K-12 strategy? Are you focused just in one area, or how does your district think about that alignment?
Yeah, I'll echo what they've said. As a career in technical ed, it's grades 6 through 12 for primary support services. And again, we utilize the awareness in the elementary grades. The state's framework is a K-12 framework that they have identified certain things that our teachers need to be addressing, such as problem solving, algorithms. I think we use exploration in the middle grades through some courses that are beginning to teach coding and programming. I would recommend highly robotics. We are a huge, I know there's different companies out there, but we are a huge VEX robotics district. So that's been very helpful to teach all those fun things, but within a hands-on way. And then I would say we've had success like for Hour of Code. Our high school students actually through the Good Innovative Teachers would go the week of Hour of Code down to the elementary grades. And again, using your product, CodeHS and a few others, just to show them a few little examples of how they can do that. And it's just a great interaction as to how the high school student is teaching the elementary students. But I am over 6 through 12 in the usage of our state approved courses that are computer science and our teachers that we serve. But definitely we continue with K-12 focus.
Totally, totally. Yeah, I mean, what I'm hearing from everyone is, this belief that, hey, you got to start early, you got to build interest early. You don't want people self-selecting out by middle school because they're like, coding's not cool, that's not for me. And I think the challenge is not should we do it, but how do you do it? Because it's a lot easier said than done to go, great, we should have K-12 CS. And then you look at the districts, the 10,000 plus 13,000 plus districts across the country, and very few you can point to that have this, really robust K-12 CS. And so you might have, someone's over this, but someone's not over middle school, but how did these things all fit together? And so I think for a lot of people on the call, well, with CodeHS, we started with high school, we added middle school. A few years ago, we added elementary. Our high school side's the most popular, but recently been doing more with the elementary too, and built like a embeddable Scratch. So kind of what Rhonda said, like Scratch is great free place to start. And then how do you solve that problem of making it work in your district and all that? So yeah, no, I'm seeing lots of good questions across the board. And obviously everyone wants to do it, but then you have so much time. So let's try and hit more topics. CS and AI. I have some questions. The audience has some questions. People want to know what we're thinking about. So totally can, jump in, make it interactive. What's your district stance on AI? Are you guys allowed to use it? Are you having courses? Is it projects? Are we all in? Are we kind of stepping back? Are we thinking? What's your AI approach, and how does that intersect to what you're doing with CS? So I think a lot of people are wondering that. And so, and again, feel free to jump in, and we can make it and interactive as anyone wants.
I'll be glad to share. We're fortunate to have a very proactive IT department, and while nothing's carte blanche, obviously for the safety of the students, they just developed this year an AI policy. So at least there's going to be some guidance on that, and there is a district approved tool or resource that now all teachers. It's not Chat GPT, but it's a similar that's in a safe environment that teachers can access something to that effect. But I think just having that starting point of an actual district-wide policy is going to help tremendously as this morphs. And then as far as on the teaching curriculum side, the state of South Carolina has developed a 4-course AI pathway. It's in beta right now. It'll be piloted next year. And we hope I'm going to let someone else work out the
so you guys,
issues.
So they're building AI courses, but you guys aren't teaching them yet?
We plan after next year, I want to let someone else work it out, and then we'll add it.
So can I, if I'm your district, if I'm a student or a teacher, can I use Chat GPT, or is that banned?
It's banned.
Okay.
But
I'm just curious, what about are you guys banning Chat GPT?
But they have a thing called Magic.
Yeah. So I know there's a lot of different like ed tech companies that are doing, that AI stuff. Are you guys, Rhonda or Audra, is ChatGPT usable or banned?
It's banned for students. It's not banned for teachers, but it is banned for students. And one of my teachers, as recent as 2 weeks ago, I was in his classroom doing an observation, and he was trying to teach students how to write an AI prompt it was like text to video. And so what I've done is I've started sending IT a list of sites that I approve of, that I personally approve of. And one of them is deepai.org.
Right.
And just, to do those little tasks. Yeah.
Still figuring it out. Audra, what's been the initial reactions on AI with you all? Has it been, diving in, a little bit of hesitation, picking and choosing some tools?
Yeah, very, very, very similar. What Karen was saying, we very much embrace it. We feel like it's here to stay. It's part of innovation. It's part of the workforce. You're either going to hop on or get behind. So we do embrace it. I said we did launch an AI course. We have a data science course. It's actually the prerequisite for AI in our district. We partner very closely with our IT department in this aspect to create a policy around it. We decided, it was really important for the students to understand the social and ethical implications that go around AI. So we really hone in on the digital citizenship of that for our students. We do not allow Chat GPT. There is one, I'm not totally familiar with it, but Copilot is one I've seen come through that I guess our IT department has approved, and the Magic School as well. More for staff, but for our students, yes, we're here to embrace it and do what we can with it.
So it sounded like, some people are having AI courses, and we've built some, but it's interesting to see because it's still very early. When you guys think AI courses, are you saying we want to teach them to use AI? Are you saying we want to teach them to build with AI? Are you saying this AI course is really a computer science course and you needed to know Python? AI course is really broad. What does that mean for you? What are you hoping to have?
So for
All of
us,
the above. All of the above.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think all of the above is kind of where it goes, where it's like,
Mhm.
hey, you can have some course and maybe it's not as technical and not as coding, and we teach you how to use these AI
Mhm.
tools, or hey, you've learned some coding, you've learned some Python, you can build with that, you can do some more advanced things, machine learning. But I'm not seeing, from our perspective, we're not seeing a lot of AI courses that are being taught yet, but we're seeing that people are talking about it. Do you guys see
Mhm.
that differently? Or it sounds like Karen, you said maybe that's a couple years out. Rhonda or Audra, what are your, is AI courses something that you're thinking about, or right now is it more just about AI tooling and what the student and teacher facing policy is going to be?
So I said with that when I retire, I am going to go work for a curriculum company and I'm going to write an AI course. That's what my plans are. But until then, uh, um, there is one AI company, I think it's AI.edu. I ran into it at ISTE, and I shared it with my teachers. I had mixed,
Yeah,
just kind of a mixed sense about it. There's really not a lot of AI curriculum out there.
yeah,
Um, so I mean, it's wide open. And so the first question you asked, it's all of the above, from creating, I mean, there's even jobs that are called AI prompt writers. Um, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
and yeah, I saw somewhere, maybe it was a 60-minute special, that they were teaching AI like this is a keyboard. And then they were giving them all the different versions of what a keyboard could look like. So I'm not necessarily writing code, but I'm teaching AI
yeah.
what this is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. No, it really is interesting what districts will want to see with AI courses. So we've tried some of that. We have a few AI courses in CodeHS catalog, some which are like less coding, but exploratory,
Mhm.
survey or discussions, some that are more the computer science. But I think, a lot of times there's just not space to add the things that you want to add. And so we're seeing teachers who
Right.
they want to pull in a lesson, they want to pull in a project, but I agree. It's an evolving
Hmm.
time, and I don't think everyone knows what the AI plus the education
Yeah.
space is going to look like. But I don't know, Audra, did you want to say anything else on AI? I can also go to the next topic.
I think they covered it. And so we have the course. It's like very much just the basic AI like algorithms students
Right,
can work with, and I had mentioned
right,
considering social ethical implications are a big part of it too for us right
right.
now.
Well, that's interesting. But algorithms then still makes it a higher level course and assumes you maybe have some sort of CS or intro before, as opposed to, you could be in middle school and they're using these AI tools, and how do you run that? Um, Let's see. I'm trying to hit a lot of things from the audience and some things that we have. Let's see. What's something that CodeHS could do that would help your district and be impactful for your students and school, and how you guys are thinking about where it should go? Anything you are hoping to see from CodeHS? If you could wave a magic wand and go, why don't we have this tomorrow?
An AI course.
Okay, well, we have
An
one, but
AI course.
we have one,
Mhm.
but I guess we have to make it better. So that's good
Yeah.
too. AI, figuring out the right thing in AI courses is such a good point, because
Mhm.
it's going to take some experimentation. Some of our courses have been around for 5 or 10 years, and they've gone through so
Mhm.
many iterations. And this is any school district's first. We look at the course catalog. There's so few states that have an AI course in their state
Mhm.
catalog. So few.
Yeah.
Karen
I
or
would,
Audra, we're
I
gonna
would
wave a
say,
magic wand and say, "Hey, here's one thing Code just could help with as you guys develop CS. What might you
Mhm.
do?"
yeah, I would say, Jeremy, it's not necessarily the onus of a vendor provider
Sure.
to to provide teaching tips and strategies that should be on the training they receive in computer science. But I would say if there was something that would help a teacher, if as we go into classrooms and our roles, that it's not just about the kids on the modules. Yes, they're learning the content. You have a CodeHS as an excellent LMS platform, but how can a fairly new teacher or new teacher to CS balance um, students on the computer with the content piece of it, but also marrying that to the hands-on applications. You guys do have, we really like, the teachers tell me, of the built-in simulations, which help tremendously, but just the tips and tricks of, it's not just about sitting a student working through the modules, checking a box. Maybe that would help.
100%. Getting the best practices out there is not so easy, and I think it's an effort every year. I don't know, Audra, if there was one thing that CodeHS could improve to make your school district or CS program better.
I guess from where I stand, and I'm not the teacher, in it every day, is, we do those industry certifications that I mentioned. So we go outside different providers. So you guys could like say, hey, Microsoft, let's partner and we'll take the exam right here and be the proctor. That would be amazing.
Great. Let's see what else people wanted to cover. There were a couple questions that I saw in a few places. Some people were asking about pathways and some people were asking about interdisciplinary. We see that coming up all the time. Is pathways a focus? Is it just getting one course? Are you trying to get a pathway? Is your pathway a district thing? Something. Have you done pathways as a focus or interdisciplinary as a focus?
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. It's a great question, Jeremy. All of our states more than likely are centered around the old model of 16 career clusters, is a national model. And I'm excited that they're finally updating that. States are at different levels of what that's going to look like, but it's really going to be modernized so that advancing technologies or digital technologies is going to permeate within all of the pathways. If you're a state, we do college and career readiness for our accountability model. So pathways are very important. They take a series of courses. If they pass it, they get an industry certification, and then that can count toward our accountability measures. So I'm excited that with the advancement of technologies and the reorganization of how those pathways are structured, for example, if I want to take digital technologies or entrepreneurship in a welding class and it count toward my pathway, we'll be able to do that on down the future, because I may want to own my own welding business on down the road. And, oh, by the way, be able to use some AI and so on to make sure it's successful. So pathways are definitely a huge building block as part of our infrastructure.
Got it. Rhonda or Audra, have you thought a lot about the pathways? Is that kind of the structure that things fall into in your district, or is it not really set up that way?
Ours are, oh, go ahead, Audra. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We definitely create the pathways and the scope and sequence, to align to occupation or what it might look like. I love what Karen was just saying, because I didn't know they were re-looking at those within all the clusters, because I do think it kind of like locks you in and makes students feel like, oh, I'm in the business pathway. I can only, focus on, entrepreneurship right now. But the intersection of it, if that can really just be something that we help figure out for the students, is going to be so beneficial. That cross-curricular piece for sure.
Rhonda, do you want to?
Sure.
On pathways, and if that's been part of your thinking, or if not really?
It is. As Karen said, we in Texas, we do have the 16 programs of study, and then under that, it breaks down. So for example, under IT, we have IT support and services, networking, web development, cybersecurity, and programming and software development. Now, to add to that, next year's seniors, so the 26 seniors, they will have to complete 4 courses within that program of study to be considered a completer. Along with that, they have to have that IBC taken and passed. So pathways are huge in Texas. Students can't get around it. I mean, they can, like some say, oh, I don't really know that I want to do that. I just want to do this and do this and do that. And that's okay too. Some students don't know, but for the most part, most of our students are required to be completers. So.
Yeah. Got it. Got it. I'd say in the last few years, more and more districts are getting to a spot where they're getting more robust CS pathways, at least from our perspective.
Mhm.
I think when you talk to a district, and again, for anyone listening, like, because districts are in such different spots, like, you know, sometimes districts don't have CS and it's just, hey, how can we get our first course? How can we get our first teacher? And you maybe are in the launch phase. And
Mm.
then, okay, you're building that out. You have a few years. You need to have a series of courses. That's when they're developing the pathways, and you're saying, hey, we're building towards, in some cases, it's CTE or certifications, and so for some districts, it's AP based, or even in some districts, they have a language and they say we want to build a series of courses that go with Python or data science and all that. So I think
Mhm.
as the programs mature, we see people wanting to have a defined set of pathways. The other thing is in our catalog, we have like, a couple hundred courses and you don't know which ones to take. And so to say, hey,
Mhm.
like, we're in the state, can we take the courses that are within our state? Or hey, we're focused on this certification, we want to have a cybersecurity pathway. And so I just think
Mhm.
that is where a lot of
Yeah.
that goes. Um, let's see. I know. Let's see if I can hit the other questions from the audience. Thank you everyone for your questions. We're getting so many good questions. Um, I see people are asking about how how to actually teach CS. So yeah, I think that's on the PD side. And I know in CodeHS in some of our PD libraries, there's I think there's different levels of it with the like how much the district wants to do, but there's sometimes like just virtual and async. Then there's things that are maybe synchronous, live, virtual, in person. But yeah, I think to the question from the audience, like getting actual modeled lessons from other teachers is a great way for people to see and kind of avoid the trap that Karen mentioned of you don't want a CS class to be, hey, let's go to the computers. Like you really have so many ways to make it more interactive. We just have a few more minutes, so let's see what our last couple questions might be. Do you happen to know how many students or what percentage of students are taking CS in your district? I know in some of the latest numbers that code.org reports, it's only 5% of students taking computer science. And so although there's been so much progress, most students still aren't getting access to a class. Do you happen to know, what percentage of students you're reaching in your school, or how are you thinking about the student, recruiting efforts there? And I think this might be one of our last questions because we're almost out of time.
So for our district, it's 100% as far as the high school, because again, it's a graduation credit. So they do have to take at least one by the time they graduate. So like right now, we got about 3,000 students. We're 6 high schools and a career center. So it's I would say it's 100%. Where the true rubber meets the road is when they matriculate on, do they continue taking other CS related courses, because it is something they want to move into as a career. And that's something we'll continue to work on.
Well, I'm looking at my dashboard, and I would say 5% is probably about correct for us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd have to check that data point, Jeremy. For us, same thing. It's a choice for students in 9th through 12th grade. The last time I looked at our
Right.
enrollment numbers, right now all of our courses, I think I have around 100 students that are taking the courses. But as I mentioned, all middle school students do rotate through, so they're
Totally.
getting exposure. And then at the elementary level, it's more of a choice too, but there is
Right.
some exposure. So I'd say a
I
third of our population, maybe 30%.
Yeah, yeah, it's so you pull some of the data by state, it's so variable by state. What
Mhm.
percentage of students are getting access to CS? What percentage of students are taking CS? Obviously, some of the states are saying, hey, you have to take, it's now becoming a graduation requirement, or some of the state standards are developing. And so, but I think a lot of people often who are involved might get surprised that it's only maybe 1 in 20 students is taking a CS class, when if you're on the call or on the webinar, you probably think, hey, everyone should be taking this.
Mhm.
And so that's where I think the access in the middle school or the elementary school, when you can expose a lot more students, if the high school is optional, is a great way to do it. So, okay, we're almost out of time. If anyone has any closing thoughts, anything else you want to share to the audience, we can probably wrap up there. I know the questions keep popping in. If anyone
So,
wants to leave any closing remarks, then we'll wrap up.
yeah.
I guess, I mean, for me, I would just, thank CodeHS for having us here and for all the support they've given our
Mhm.
school for the past 7 years. Really, really appreciate that. It's definitely, it helps guide some of our sequence too, kind of seeing what we can offer. And I would just say, I think it is a very important set of courses, and just the creative thinking and the computational thinking behind it. It can help any student, no matter, what their career goals are going to be. If anybody here that's joining, I'm happy to share my email as well and share, any
Mhm.
resources or advice I can provide too.
Thanks, Audra.
Yeah,
I echo that as well.
absolutely. I ditto. Audra said it best.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for attending. Thank you, Rhonda, Audra, and Karen for joining and sharing your expertise and lessons learned and kind of navigating all the quirks of building a program and all the challenges. And I know for people joining the call, we appreciate your time and good luck building your CS program. We'd love to help at CodeHS, and hopefully you can walk away with a couple good ideas from this session. So have a great day, and
Mhm.
thank you again to our panelists.
Mhm.
See you all.
All right.
Thank you
Bye,
all.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.